and today we will discuss interpretation of liver function test, interpretation of viral hepatitis serology panel, and how to distinguish obstructive from non-obstructive jaundice based on clinical features and LFT. Now, what are the commonly performed LFT? You have studied in theory class also. Today we will revise those points once again. See, this is serum alanine aminotransferase, okay, or ALT or SGPT. So, the hepatic cause of abnormality is hepatocellular injury. Next is serum aspartate aminotransferase, and this is SGOT. It is the hepatic cause of abnormality is again hepatocellular injury. Next is serum alkaline phosphatase. It is abnormal in cholestasis. Serum bilirubin, it is abnormal in defective conjugation or excretion. And serum albumin, there will be decreased synthesis of albumin. Next is what are the indications of LFT. LFT is done for various purposes. One is to screen for liver disease. Next is to identify the nature of liver disease, whether it is due to hepatocellular cause, obstructive cause or infiltrative cause. Then how to assess the severity and prognosis of liver disease. Finally, if there is a liver disease, we can follow up the course of the liver disease. This is a chart of normal bilirubin metabolism. Okay, so here as you can see, there is destruction of RBC and heme is obtained. From heme, after degradation, bilirubin is obtained. Then bilirubin albumin complex is formed. Then the bilirubin which enters the hepatocyte, that is liver cell, it combines with glucuronic acid to form conjugated bilirubin, and this conjugated bilirubin is in the intestine, it forms urobilinogen, and then it is excreted in urine also. Next, here is the write-up that bilirubin is produced from breakdown of hemoglobin of RBC in the macrophages, mainly in the spleen. So, hemoglobin is degraded to form heme and globin. So, heme is made up of iron and protoporphyrin. Now, the iron is stored as ferritin. The iron which is released after degradation of heme, it is stored as ferritin, and the protoporphyrin converted to biliverdin, then bilirubin. Now, the bilirubin, it binds with albumin as we have seen in the diagram. This is unconjugated, that is insoluble in water. When it reaches the liver, the bilirubin is conjugated and this is soluble in water. So, you remember that conjugated bilirubin is soluble in water and unconjugated bilirubin is insoluble in water. So, when it reaches the large intestine, it is converted to another compound called urobilinogen by the action of bacterial enzymes. Now, the urobilinogen is excreted in feces. The color of feces is due to urobilin for the brown coloration of feces, and a part of urobilinogen is again re-excreted in bile. This is called enterohepatic circulation, and small amount is excreted in urine also. Next, how to classify the liver function test. Liver function test can be classified in 4 groups. Test to assess the excretory function, test to assess synthetic and metabolic function, test to assess hepatic injury, and test to assess clearance of exogenous substances by the liver. So, for the excretory function, bilirubin and urobilinogen is measured. Then for synthetic and metabolic function, serum protein, serum albumin, AG ratio, prothrombin time and blood ammonia level. For hepatic injury, we study the liver enzymes, and to assess the clearance of exogenous substances, bromsalphthalin excretion test is done. Now serum bilirubin, normally it is less than 1 milligram per dl. So there are two types of bilirubin, conjugated and unconjugated. The conjugated one is called direct reacting and unconjugated is indirect reacting. 90% is unconjugated, and conjugated bilirubin is composed of bilirubin glucuronide, diglucuronide and delta bilirubin. Now this delta bilirubin represents bilirubin bound to albumin, and in cholestasis delta bilirubin will increase. What is jaundice? Jaundice is obtained from a French word jaune meaning yellow. Jaundice is also called icterus. It is yellow discoloration of skin, sclera and mucous membrane due to increased level of bilirubin. Jaundice is evident, means we can identify that a person is having jaundice when the serum bilirubin exceeds 2 milligram per dl. Now how to classify jaundice? Now jaundice is classified according to main type of bilirubin present, that is predominantly unconjugated hyperbilirubinemia. Next is predominantly conjugated hyperbilirubinemia and mixed hyperbilirubinemia. Now the indirect unconjugated hyperbilirubinemia, the causes are hemolysis, large hematoma, ineffective erythropoiesis, Gilbert syndrome, Crigler-Najjar syndrome, physiologic jaundice of newborn. And predominantly conjugated one, the causes are hepatitis, cirrhosis, cholestasis, some drugs, toxins, Dubin-Johnson syndrome and Rotor syndrome. And mixed one is due to viral or alcoholic hepatitis. Next is according to etiology we can classify jaundice. One is hemolytic, hepatocellular and obstructive. Hemolytic means due to increased RBC destruction. There is increased hemoglobin breakdown, so that is hemolytic. Hepatocellular means the hepatocytes are affected and they cannot conjugate or excrete bilirubin. And the third one is obstructive jaundice, that means the bilirubin that is formed, it cannot be excreted into intestine, so it is regurgitated in the circulation. According to site of disease, we can classify jaundice prehepatic, hepatic, posthepatic. Prehepatic means there is excessive formation of bilirubin exceeding the capacity of liver, that is prehepatic. This is unconjugated type. Hepatic, that means in some kind of liver disease there can be hepatic type of jaundice. It is both the types of bilirubin are increased. And in obstructive jaundice, that is post-hepatic jaundice or surgical jaundice or extrahepatic cholestasis, it is mainly due to obstruction. How to classify jaundice according to the site of jaundice, that is prehepatic, hepatic and posthepatic. Prehepatic causes are, the most important is hemolytic anemia, and hepatic jaundice, the most important unconjugated type is Gilbert syndrome, Crigler-Najjar syndrome, and conjugated type we will find in hepatocellular diseases as in viral hepatitis, toxic hepatitis, active cirrhosis, and also intrahepatic cholestasis is found in Dubin-Johnson syndrome, some drugs, primary biliary cirrhosis, biliary atresia and cholangitis. Also, the post-hepatic type of jaundice can be found in obstruction mainly, as in carcinoma head of pancreas, carcinoma in ampulla of Vater, secondaries in porta hepatis and gallstones or stricture of common bile duct. Next is how can we diagnose the three types of jaundice. The most important type in prehepatic is hemolysis leading to excess production. It is mainly unconjugated. urine urobilinogen is increased and prothrombin time is normal. The additional features that can be found are reticulocytosis, this is very important, reticulocytosis, low haptoglobin and low hemoglobin. In hepatocellular jaundice, there is deficient uptake, conjugation or excretion by hepatocytes. Hepatocellular means the hepatocytes are affected. So, this function of hepatocytes will be defective. So, the type of bilirubin can be either conjugated or unconjugated, and there is marked increase in serum ALT and AST. In post-hepatic jaundice, there is defective excretion due to obstruction of biliary tract. It is mainly conjugated type and it is common in some kind of obstruction like carcinoma head of pancreas, gallbladder stone, and there is marked rise of serum alkaline phosphatase more than 3 times normal. This is a flow chart. How can we investigate jaundice? See, first, jaundice is clinically evident once the serum bilirubin is more than 2 milligram per deciliter. So, and we can also see that the skin, sclera, mucous membrane is yellowish. So, in that case, we will go for testing serum bilirubin. So, serum bilirubin, it will be of 2 types. In the blood test report, you can see it is written direct, indirect. So, direct conjugated bilirubin, that is if there is increase in direct or conjugated bilirubin, that is conjugated hyperbilirubinemia, then liver function tests are done, ALT, AST, all the types of enzymes are tested. If there is predominant elevation of AST or ALT, that is hepatocellular cause. If there is predominant elevation of ALP, that is alkaline phosphatase, then there is cholestatic injury or infiltrative disease. If the enzymes are normal, then the diagnosis may be either Dubin-Johnson or Rotter syndrome. If there is increase in unconjugated or indirect type of bilirubin, that is unconjugated hyperbilirubinemia, then we will go for hematological studies like doing hemoglobin, blood smear, reticulocyte count. Then if there is evidence of hemolysis, then it may be hemolytic anemia or ineffective erythropoiesis. But if hemolysis is not present, then it can be Gilbert syndrome or Crigler-Najjar syndrome. Now, how to assess the synthetic and metabolic functions of liver? So, the markers of hepatic synthetic function are serum albumin and prothrombin time. Now, hypoalbuminemia, that is albumin is decreased in blood and prolonged prothrombin time. This is increased in severe functional impairment of liver. Now, total serum protein is adult is 5.5 to 8 gram per dl and albumin is 3.5 to 5 gram per deciliter. Now, prothrombin time measures 3 out of 4 vitamin K dependent factors like 2, 7 and 10, and it is prolonged, means the prothrombin time normally is 11 to 13.5, it is increased in hepatocellular diseases and in obstructive jaundice. Now, to distinguish between prolonged prothrombin time due to hepatocellular jaundice or there is cholestasis, means obstruction, how can we differentiate? So, there is means after administration of vitamin K, prothrombin time is tested. If there is reduction of the prothrombin time, it occurs in cholestatic liver disease but not in hepatocellular disease. So, in this way we can distinguish the cause. Now, severity of liver disease, it is assessed by 3 types of tests, that is serum bilirubin, serum albumin and prothrombin time. So to assess the hepatic injury, the liver enzymes studies are done. So liver enzymes, as I told you earlier, serum aspartate aminotransferase AST, that is SGOT, serum alanine aminotransferase ALT, that is SGPT, serum alkaline phosphatase is ALP. Now serum aminotransferase, they are very sensitive markers of hepatic injury. Marked elevation of AST and ALT, that is more than 15 times normal, it occurs in acute viral hepatitis, hepatocellular damage due to toxin like carbon tetrachloride, and ischemic changes like as occurs in congestive heart failure. So in that cases the ALT and AST is very high, more than 15 times the normal level. Moderate elevations, that is less than 15 but between 5 to 15, it occurs in chronic hepatitis, autoimmune hepatitis, alcoholic hepatitis, acute biliary tract obstruction and drug induced hepatitis, whereas mild elevation occurs in cirrhosis and cholestasis. And in hepatocellular jaundice, the increase is more than 500 units per ml, but in cholestatic jaundice, it is less than 200 units per ml. Now, typical LFT profile in a hepatocellular disease, we will find there is marked elevation of AST and ALT more than 500 international units. There is mild increase of ALP less than 3 times the normal, and hyperbilirubinemia may be of both types. It will be direct as well as indirect, means both the types of bilirubin will be raised. But in cholestatic jaundice, we will see reverse. There is marked elevation of ALP, alkaline phosphatase is highly increased, more than 3 times the normal level, but mild or no increase of ALT and AST, and only conjugated bilirubin is increased. Now these are the features by which we can differentiate the various types of viral hepatitis disease and as well as some other diseases also. You can take picture of this chart also. Here is how can we evaluate acute hepatocellular injury. Now if there is a history of jaundice which is clinically evident, then we will do the aminotransferases, that is SGOT, SGPT, all those enzymes will be highly elevated. That means there is acute hepatic injury. Now acute hepatic injury may be due to acute viral hepatitis, alcoholic hepatitis, toxic or ischemic injury and drug induced injury. Now for acute viral hepatitis, there will be acute hepatitis A or acute hepatitis B or hepatitis C. So in that cases, like in hepatitis A, we will do the IgM of anti-hepatitis A virus. Then acute hepatitis B, we will do these two tests, HBsAg, surface antigen of hepatitis B, as well as immunoglobulin M. IgM is immunoglobulin M anti-hepatitis B core antigen. And for hepatitis C, we will do anti-HCV, anti-hepatitis C virus, as well as hepatitis C virus RNA can also be tested. Now, what are the non-hepatic causes? This is very important, means there may be some causes which are not related to the liver, but the LFT is abnormal. So, what are those causes? Increased serum bilirubin apart from the hepatic causes can occur in hemolysis, ineffective erythropoiesis, as well as resorption of a large hematoma. In that case, there will be increased serum bilirubin. Now, increased aminotransferase apart from the hepatic causes, it may be elevated in muscle injury, alcohol abuse and myocardial infarction. Serum alkaline phosphatase can be raised in pregnancy, bone disease, and low serum albumin can occur in poor nutritional status, then proteinuria, malabsorption and severe illness causing protein catabolism. Now here is the viral hepatitis panel. If you note it, that for hepatitis A virus, the markers are anti-hepatitis A virus IgM as well as IgG. So if there is anti-hepatitis A virus IgM is increased, that means it is acute or recent infection. If anti-hepatitis A virus immunoglobulin G is raised, that means there is past infection or vaccination has been done, immunity. For hepatitis B, the serological markers are hepatitis B surface antigen, anti-HBs, HBcAg, it is the core antigen, anti-HBc IgM, IgG, HBe antigen, that is envelope antigen, anti-HBe, as well as hepatitis B virus DNA. This is the viral replication marker. Now see, for these are the markers and the interpretation is, if hepatitis B surface antigen is raised, that is current infection, it may be acute or chronic. Anti-HBs, if it is raised, that means there is immunity, that is either vaccination or recovery. Anti-HB core IgM means there is acute or recent infection. Anti-HBc IgG represents past or chronic infection. HBe antigen, it represents high infectivity and active replication. Anti-HBe represents low infectivity, that means this is high infectivity, this is low infectivity, and HBV DNA represents the viral load. Now how can we interpret? See, for acute HBV, the surface antigen is positive, anti-HBc IgM is positive, HB envelope antigen positive, HBV DNA is positive, that means all the levels are increased. Now the window period is detected by anti-HBs and anti-HBc IgM, only this marker is positive. For chronic hepatitis B virus, the surface antigen is highly raised for more than 6 months, that is why it is chronic, more than 6 months, and anti-HBc IgG, anti-HBs, HBeAg and HBV DNA are positive. And for recovered infection, the surface antigen is negative, anti-HBs is positive and anti-HBc immunoglobulin G is also positive. Now if there is a vaccinated individual, we will find that the surface antigen is negative and core antigen is also negative, but anti-HBs is positive. Coming to hepatitis C virus, the markers are anti-HCV, anti-hepatitis C virus and HCV RNA. It is done by the PCR method. Now if anti-HCV is positive, then it means that there has been an exposure, either recent or past, and if the hepatitis C virus RNA it is raised, that means there is active infection. But remember that hepatitis C virus disease is highly chronic, means it is mostly more than 80% is in chronic form. For hepatitis D virus, it occurs only with hepatitis B virus, that is a co-infection. Co-infection means both the two infections, that is hepatitis B virus as well as hepatitis D virus, they are existing together, coexistent. So here anti-hepatitis D virus and hepatitis D virus RNA are the markers. It is seen in co-infection and superinfection. Superinfection has a bad prognosis. Superinfection means there is primary infection, and in addition to that there is again secondary infection. So 2 infections, that is called super infection. For hepatitis E virus, the anti-HEV IgM represents acute infection, anti-HE virus IgG, so IgM is always acute or recent, and IgG, it represents past infection, and it is severe in pregnant women. So now this one, R factor or R ratio, it is a LFT, it is a liver function test. It is a calculation used to classify acute liver injury as hepatocellular, cholestatic or mixed. So it is calculated as ALT, that is divided by the upper normal limit, and this is again divided by alkaline phosphatase divided by the upper normal limit. So where the upper normal limit is ULN. So if the R is more than 5, it indicates hepatocellular injury. If it is less than 2, it indicates cholestasis, and between 2 to 5, it is a mixed infection. So R factor interpretation. So for hepatocellular causes, when the R is more than equal to 5, it suggests significant hepatocyte damage, commonly in viral hepatitis, drug induced liver injury or ischemic injury. The cholestatic causes, where the R is less than equal to 2, it indicates bile duct injury associated with biliary obstruction, as in gallstone, primary biliary cholangitis or certain drugs. And in mixed case, that is where the R is between 2 and 5, it represents both hepatocyte and bile duct damage. Now, interpretation of LFT, if suppose there is a 22-year-old male presenting with fever, malaise, nausea, vomiting, yellowish discoloration of eyes more than around 5 days. So here are the lab values which are given. You can see that bilirubin is increased, direct bilirubin is increased, AST, ALT, all are increased. Albumin is within the normal range. So here we can see marked increase in AST and ALT. ALT is more than AST, that means SGPT more than SGOT. Mild ALP elevation, conjugated hyperbilirubinemia. So due to either hepatocellular cause, likely acute viral hepatitis. So we will confirm it by HBS antigen or anti-HAV IgM. Now another type of in which we will see the obstructive pattern, that is a 55-year-old female with severe itching, clay colored stool and dark urine. So in the OSCIC problem card, if there is itching, this is very important, remember, itching, clay colored stool, dark urine, that means obstructive pattern. So the lab value will be like this, that is bilirubin is raised, AST, ALT all are raised, but ALP is highly raised. See here it is increased but not that much, but ALP is highly raised. GGT is also markedly elevated. So here the interpretation is there is predominant increase in alkaline phosphatase, conjugated hyperbilirubinemia, commonly due to cholestatic or obstructive pattern. Pruritus is due to bile salt deposition, and the causes may be common bile duct stone or carcinoma in head of pancreas, and we can investigate it by ultrasound of abdomen. So this is all for today. You please wait, if we can find the problem card, we can show you it to you today, or else we will show it to you later. So AST is also present in muscle. ALT is more liver specific, that is SGPT. SGPT is more liver specific. ALP is also elevated in bone disease, alkaline phosphatase elevated in obstructive jaundice, bone disease. GGT confirms hepatic origin of ALP, and prothrombin time is the earliest indicator. If the prothrombin time is increased, it is the earliest indicator of acute liver failure. Thank you.